Dive into the transformative world of Dr. Lise Janelle, a trailblazing growth accelerator coach known for her groundbreaking Heart Freedom Method. Featured on CBC News, CTV's Canada AM, and more, Dr. Janelle liberates clients from subconscious barriers, fostering rapid success. Founder of the Center for Heart Living, she authored You Are Loved and Conversations with the Heart, sharing profound insights into a life of love and growth. A member of the Transformational Leadership Council, Dr. Lise leaves an enduring imprint on personal development. So join us for an inspiring conversation unveiling her wisdom, resilience, and extraordinary journey. Welcome to Rat Race Reboot. I'm your host, Laura Noel. And as a certified coach and former 27-year military leader, each week I provide bite-sized mindset pivots that will help you reset your mind, reawaken your spirit, and regain your control. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Rat Race Reboot. I'm so excited to have a wonderful conversation with Dr. Janelle. Lise, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura, for having me. I look forward to our conversation too. I went on your podcast and lots of really good, juicy stuff you have there.
Thank you so much. And I love some of these topics that I know we're going to dive into. We're just so in alignment. So I'm just really excited to see where this conversation takes us. But, I would love to start out with a little bit of your story. How did you get to serving in the way that you are these days?
Well, it happens often through the hero's journey. In 1988, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, was given 9 months to live. That was 3 weeks before my sister's wedding. A week after my sister's wedding, my 21-year-old brother died in a car accident. And then within a month of this, my 8-year relationship to the man I thought I was going to marry ended. And it was like, ow, ow, ow. Yeah. So to survive the pain, I went on a quest to understand how do you survive these moments? Because it's not if they're going to happen. They will happen. So when they happen, how do you manage to live life and not get stuck in that pain forever and prevent yourself from being able to live an amazing life? So it sent me on that quest. And I then discovered by coincidence, the same year, in 1989, I met Dr. Scott Walker, who's a chiropractor who teaches a method called NET, which is neuro-emotional technique that allows us to find the moments when a belief was created and is getting stuck in the patients. Like when I was a chiropractor, I could have 10 patients with exactly the same low back condition. 8 of them would get better and 2 of them would be stuck. So I was frustrated. So that's how I met him. And then I was able to find emotions that got stored in the body that can create health challenges. And then I started using it more and more for helping my patients to be happy, to find what's blocking them. And at the same time that year, I met Dr. John DeMartin, who happens to be also a chiropractor, who teaches the power of gratitude. So I ended up, through my own journey, seeking how to create happiness in my life for myself and others, to write a statement of purpose for my life. So in 1989, I wrote down a statement of purpose for my whole life, but the career statement says that I was going to help maximize a million people's life potential through reconnecting them with their hearts. So since 1989, I've been on a quest to make that happen. So my whole journey has brought me to work with thousands of people one-on-one. And after a while, I couldn't keep being a chiropractor because I knew, even though I love being a chiropractor and I was really good at it and my patient loved me, it was an amazing lifestyle. I was not in the rat race. I worked 25 hours a week. I took 12, 13 weeks off a year. It was like an amazing career, but in 2003, I'd be standing behind my patients, and all of a sudden, I started crying. I took my girlfriend out for her birthday, and right in the middle of the birthday dinner, I started crying. So I thought, okay. So I took 3 months off to see what was really going on. And I realized the reason I was crying is because I was called to do what I'm now doing. I was being called to get out of my comfort zone, challenge myself to go into doing something, I had never done before. So in 2004, I became a full-time coach, and here I am. And, if you know the movie The Secret or the book The Secret, well, I'm part of the group, like the Transformational Leadership Council. I was there when Rhonda Burns came and pitched the idea for this movie.
Oh, wow.
And so, it's all about the law of attraction. And I got to be on stage in July of 2019. I got to be on stage in front of all these people from the movie The Secret, and I taught them the real law of attraction. So I got a kick out of that. So if you're watching the video and just not looking right now, you're going to see that I use the yin and the yang all the time. And for me, it represents support and challenge. So the real law of attraction is if you challenge yourself to follow your heart, you attract support. And if you stay in your comfort zone, you attract challenges. So because I've been challenging myself since 1989, I've attracted all kinds of support. And one of them is Jack Canfield, who asked me to write a book about my method because he loves it so much. He uses it when he does his training program. And so here I am, a byproduct of the law of attraction, of following my heart, of wanting to do for others what has helped me get through challenges.
Wow. What an amazing journey, truly. And there's so much goodness and so many different directions we could go with your story. But it sounds like when you were treating people with their physical pain and when you were experiencing that, it sounds like you discovered really the underlying cause of some of that or some mindset blockages that you also removed for yourself and got support to do that. And it's really powerful how our mind, we often ignore the physical signs that are manifest in our bodies. And those are really an indicator that something's not right and something inside of us needs to shift.
Yep, exactly. The body doesn't lie. And when we are, like, from what I can see, it's my theory. When I help my clients, as human beings, you can live through your mind, which is your cerebral part. You can live through your gut, which is your emotional part, or you can live through your heart. And for me, love is not an emotion. The only thing that lives in the heart is love, gratitude, inspiration, and wisdom. And when we manage to align the mind, the heart, and the emotions together, we are unstoppable. When you can align all three together, you become a power in the universe that can really make things happen a lot quicker. So my whole idea of helping people get out of the rat race is for them to, like, I have a weekend retreat called Extreme Freedom, and we spend a whole day crafting a statement of purpose for people's life. Because often people are living life according to the values of their family, of the culture, of some person they followed in the past, but they're not really in line with their own heart. So people need to have clarity as what they want to create in life. And then as you move forward wanting to create this, you're going to experience support and challenge. This is what happens. On the way to the top of your mountains, if again, I have a visual, imagine there's a mountain.
I love it.
So when you know where you want to go, what you want to create, on your way there, you're going to attract support and challenge to help you get there. Because I've asked this to thousands of people. When I do public speaking and I teach my seminar, I say, raise your hand if you've never had huge challenges in your life. And so far, out of thousands of people, only one person, it was a young girl, she raised her hand. She goes, me, and I'm scared because I don't know what's going to happen when I face a challenge. So if we're smart as human beings, what we need to do is we need to learn to use challenges to our advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And not run away from them, and realize that whenever you face a challenge, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah.
And it's about deciphering. But if you don't know where you're going, that's why you need clarity to know where you're going, because otherwise you can't decipher how is this helping you. And then when we stay in our comfort zone, that's just as dangerous, because it feels so good, I'm just going to stay in bed, I'm going to stay with my honey, and I don't really want to go out there and challenge myself. So getting stuck in comfort or running away from challenges, all those things is what mastery is asked of us when we want to follow our heart to create an amazing life. So we get out of the rat race. So we only use our time with our highest values, not in the values that don't really matter to us, that we just cut along the way.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and thinking about when we don't have a vision for where we want to go. If we say, I'm going west, but where are you going? We can keep going west, and there's no end to it. And we're not really accomplishing anything. We're not moving forward. We're, in essence, just in alignment with what you're saying with when we're in our comfort zone. Moving laterally and staying busy in the rat race is comfort zone, even though it can feel really stressful. And, we're talking lately, and you see it all over the place, the topic of burnout. And it's people just not being in alignment with, well, that's one of the facets of burnout, is not having that alignment, not having a clear goal or a vision for where we want to go. And even if we ignore it and we're too busy with all this mental clutter, we can feel we're not in praxis. We're not in alignment with our heart, our mind, and our gut. So that's so important.
It creates anxiety. You can feel it inside. You go, something is wrong. And it's the heart trying to speak to us and is saying, be careful, pay attention. Something is wrong. Pay attention.
Yeah. What I love about your story, and similarly, because I've shared this within my own, is you said earlier that you were crying because you found what you were called to do. You knew, I have goosebumps saying that. I know you know this and knew that because you felt it in your body and you were in tune with it. And similarly, when I was in the Air Force for 27 years, and I would always ask people around the 20-year mark, how do you know when it's time to retire? And people would say, you just know. Mm-hmm. And when I found my purpose after meeting Bob Proctor, I was planning on retiring in 3 years. But one day I was sitting at my desk and I was doing some self-reflection. And I went, and I pushed away from my desk, went to my computer and submitted my retirement application. Wow. I knew. And so I would, and same
you
for
knew,
you.
But you also listen. A lot of people know, but don't listen.
And that's a key, I think a key component. I'd love to get your perspective, is I always talk about it in the context of listening to your curiosity and following it. So how did you come to know that you were really embarking on your calling? What did that feel like?
That's a good question. I think what you're describing is not like, you know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
It brings inner peace when you finally stop. When I finally stopped and paid attention, I just knew I had no choice but to do it. And to be out of integrity with that would just bring me anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I don't like being out of integrity. It makes me feel scared. I only feel safe when I know I'm following my heart. So for me, I guess I'm wired in a way that I have no choice but but to do what my heart is calling me to do. Otherwise, I feel scared. I don't like feeling anxiety. And that's what ends up happening when we know, but we're not listening. It's not a good place to be. It makes us, it's not a good place to be.
I like that you're using the word integrity, because when words matter. And so sometimes, like for me, that just, that hits my heart. When I'm not in alignment, I'm not in integrity. And the idea of the word integrity, to think that I'm not acting out of integrity, that doesn't feel very good. And I find what's coming up for me is, I find even in myself, it's easier to let myself down than somebody else. I'll act in integrity when I'm giving my word to somebody else, but I never thought about alignment as being in integrity. And that is like, that is a mind shift for me just in this moment talking about this. So why do you feel that so many people, even if they feel like they're not in alignment or integrity with themselves, why do they keep doing these other things that are not in alignment? What keeps them stuck?
Well, that's my passion. That's why I created the Heart Freedom Method.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, our mind that wants something, the conscious part of us that wants something, is the size of a football. Our subconscious mind that's there to keep us alive, the football field. So imagine the football versus the football field. And when your subconscious mind has associated more pain than pleasure, or more danger than safety, it will do everything to keep you alive. It won't let you do it. And I have an example I like to share because it's so extreme, I have an Olympic level skier. She came to see me. She's a Canadian Olympic skier, so it means you make no money.
Oh, gosh.
You sacrifice your whole life, your training, no social life, no love life. Consciously, obviously, you want to win. Yeah. But she had not placed in 2 years. So she comes to see me and I test her on, I want to win. So doing the Heart Freedom Method, I have, in 10, 15 minutes, we find the belief, we can get rid of it. So with her, believe it or not, subconsciously, she did not want to win. And then we found the moment. When she was 7 years old, she was already winning quite well, but her brothers were not. So her mom would hide her medals and her trophies not to make her brothers feel poorly.
Oh.
So now subconsciously, she had associated winning with creating pain, with being a source of pain in other people.
Yeah.
And so if you know Pavlov's dog, conditioned responses, you end up with your teammates. They feel like siblings. Even your competitors sometimes feel like siblings because you go out after a race, have a beer together. So for her, winning was making other people feel bad. And actually, I've worked with quite a few high-level athletes and so many people, and even coaches. I was speaking to 350 coaches from all over North America in Chicago a few years ago. And I told them about this belief. And I said, okay, if you want, I'll test you on, I'm ready, willing, and able to be successful. And out of 100 coaches that had lined up, and coaches are all supposed to be about, success. Out of 100, only one of them was congruent with being successful. So a lot of us, we associate being successful with hurting other people's feelings, with being abandoned, people being jealous of us, ended up alone. So whenever we move forward and we believe that subconsciously it's going to cause us problem through hurting other people, it will always be tied to our highest values, then we will hold ourselves back. So in her case, I did 2 sessions with her. We had other things that we checked, but that one was so poignant, and she ended up on the podium right after. So I find that there are 3 clues that you have a subconscious belief working against you. Number 1, you know what needs to be done, but you're not doing it. famous procrastination. So the good news is it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you lack willpower. That even though you know that if you picked up the phone to call this potential big client, you would rather eat a bag of cookies right now. Or clean your windows, or call your mom. Because subconsciously, this is not such a good thing for you to do, even though consciously you know the subconscious mind will win.
Right.
The second one is you know what needs to be done, you're doing it, but it feels like drudgery. It's so intense. It's so hard to do. Like for me, I'm going actually that one. I just experienced it. So I've told you since 1989, I've been on this quest to transform the lives of millions of people. And now I'm leaving my comfy one-on-one practice to jumping more into the big leagues with, the book and all these things.
Yeah.
And so I have an amazing Christmas time and I'm ready to rock and roll. January 3rd, I got so sick, like so sick. Like I lost 9 pounds in 1 week.
My goodness.
I was like, and so, okay. Again, because it was painful, it sent me on the quest to understand what's going on. So I did the Heart Freedom Method with me. I ended up when I was a little kid, I was trying to be such a good little daughter, such a big sister. But no matter what I was doing, I couldn't make my mom happy. So now I created a belief that if I wanted to go for the big things in life, I was not going to get them. So even though I'm so dedicated, I've been doing all these things, I was pushing against an inner resistance. And when you push against the inner resistance, it drains your energy. And that's why I got sick.
Yeah.
And I freed myself from this belief. I can't tell you how much better I feel. Because even though consciously I knew I could do this, subconsciously it was still ruling me. So I'm so very grateful. Number 3 clue that you have a subconscious belief working against you is you do everything right, but you get the opposite results to what you want. And that drives ambitious people crazy. The dedicated people who are driven and they do everything right. But somehow it always ends up like somebody else gets the big contract, or somebody else gets the promotion, or the relationship they thought was the right one always ends up being somebody else's relationship. So these are the 3 main clues. And the good news is you're doing the Heart Freedom Method, you can get rid of them in 10-15 minutes. It doesn't take 10,000 hours. In 10-15 minutes, you can find out why you're doing this to yourself.
Oh, that is incredible. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story. I'm sure all of our listeners out there have experienced one of these clues. I know I definitely have. I can remember when I first started coaching and consulting, and this is after I got out of the military in 2017, and I was doing my first speaking engagement, and I found myself procrastinating, like I think doing numbers 1 and 2, procrastinating, getting ready for the speech, but then also on the way to the event, feeling this dread, this overwhelming dread about doing it. And I kept going back in my mind about, it wasn't even an argument that happened, but the day prior, somebody said something and I couldn't let it go. And I called a friend and they just said something in the moment. I didn't even say that I was struggling. They said, Laura, I remember when you first started doing all of your personal development and how you felt about public speaking and how far you've come. And then I started to cry. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize my mind was fighting. I was in resistance to the idea of being a speaker. And so talking it out with a friend, getting it outside of myself was something that helped me release it, because you're right. You're in resistance. You're pushing against it. It was draining and robbing me of my energy. But once I was able to release it and do the event afterwards, somebody's like, are you an international speaker? And I was like, yes, I am. I've become somebody different in that moment.
That's such a great story. As you know, they say there's 2 big fears in life, public speaking, and death.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I think babies, when we're born, it's like we're afraid of noise and falling. Yeah. And we replace that with the fear of public speaking.
It's interesting because I was at the Transformational Leadership Council in New Orleans about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And one of the speakers, she was going to speak in front of all, these people. And she was so nervous. I went and did the Heart Freedom Method with her. And the reason she was, and it's such a common one, when she was a little kid, she ended up peeing her pants and being so embarrassed. And it was like, she felt like so humiliated and embarrassed and things. So now when she stood up, like, even though she's a 60-year-old woman, she was reacting like a little 8-year-old girl because that was the connection. So the conditioned response was still stuck in her. So I felt so bad for her. So I did the Heart Freedom Method on her. She aced it the following day. She's like, she can't get over how she couldn't get over how easy it was to get over it.
That's amazing, because our subconscious mind, when we act and react, most of our behavior stems from our subconscious beliefs, and most of us aren't even aware of what's stuck in there. So from the time we're little babies, even before that, if you think of epigenetics and how things are kind of passed down from generation to generation, but those beliefs are stuck in our subconscious mind. And if we're not willing to question, why am I stuck here? Why am I procrastinating? Because I feel like it starts with that curiosity and desire to expand awareness and then get help with a coach like you. I mean, that's where it starts. Those beliefs, whenever we reach a new level, we're always going to discover newer beliefs that are keeping us where we are. And so I think it's really important to be in the question and then have some support along the way.
Yeah. And what I tell my clients is that since I'm worthy of love, what could be going on? So that one, like you said, you go into the question.
Mm-hmm.
Because since I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of having everything my heart desires. So how am I going to use this right now? What am I going to learn? Because I truly believe that each and every one of us is worthy of love. Because is a baby, when you're born, are you worthy of love? Is a toddler in the throes of the terrible twos worthy of love?
Yeah.
Is a teenager worthy of love? At 30 to 40, 50, at what point does someone stop being worthy of love and having what they want in life? Yeah. We stop being worthy of love when we decided, because we created stories. And that's one of the things that really helps my clients. From doing this work with thousands of people, I started to realize, like, there are 2 stages to human development. There's stage 1, which I call the unconscious, asleep, infantile stage. And then stage 2 is the conscious, awakened, mature stage. The main difference between stage 1 and stage 2 is in stage 1, you get your sense of self from the way the world reacts to you. When the world reacts to you in a way you think is great, then you feel good about yourself. And when it's not reacting to you the way you wanted, then what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. For the world not to be always, focused on you. It has nothing to do with your worth. It's all part of what I call stage 1 is the boot camp. So in the boot camp, like, if you send your kids to a boot camp, is there something wrong with them for this boot camp? No, it's just a boot camp. So wherever you were born, whichever family that you were born into, once you start looking at it like, all right, how is this designed to bring the best out of me? Now you start shifting the game. Because in stage 1, what we do is we run away from pain towards pleasure. And it drives us. And it's an important mechanism. Stage 1 is an important mechanism to help us create our personality, our desires in life, our friends, families, the people we have. But then we need to get out of it. And now we go into stage 2. And stage 2, my yin yang is my virtual or visual expression of true success. The yin is the female principle of listening to the heart. And our heart wants us to know 2 things. The first thing your heart wants you to know is you're worthy of love, and to let go of any illusion to the opposite. The second thing your heart wants you to do is admit your dreams and aspiration. And then it's about organizing your time to give your heart what it wants, which is what's going to get you out of the rat race.
Yeah.
So I call stage 1 the boot camp, hell on earth. I call stage 2 heaven on earth. So in stage 2, you use inspiration. You're driven by your heart. You're not looking at the world to tell you your worth. Because in stage 1, it's like you're in constant reaction because you can't control other people to tell you your worth. But in stage 2, am I living in integrity? Am I following my heart? Am I using my time in the wisest way possible? And it's a new game. Call that the ultimate game of life. And it's beautiful, powerful way of living.
I love that. And I love that distinction. I love that question. Are you worthy of love? And I don't know if you can see, but I have my childhood picture on my phone.
Oh, so cute.
As my screensaver. A bunch of us had done that just to remind ourselves when we're about to beat ourselves up, to just look at that picture. Would you act like that toward this young, innocent child? And no, of course we wouldn't, you know? Yeah. And so this is beautiful. I love this idea of stage 1, that boot camp where we're taking in life, and the way we're taking it in, people's reaction external to ourselves are sort of creating how we feel about ourselves and see ourselves. And then that heaven on earth, that stage 2, where you're really starting to be in integrity and alignment and visioneering and dreaming and feeling inspired from that heart and that connection. So how would people who are listening to this, because I know that you can help and you already are helping so many people, what would be the best way for people to start on their journey with you with this heart freedom method and really just stepping into alignment?
I have different programs, but one is Unleash Your Dream Life, which is an online course where I teach people how to do the heart freedom method. It's a combination of, you get, a lesson, but then you also have group coaching where you get call and you practice it. It's really powerful. The other way is I have a weekend retreat called Extreme Freedom, where we spend 2 days discovering you and who you are. Entry level, you can start with my book, Conversation with the Heart. I also do one-on-one coaching, and I'm also training coaches in my heart freedom method. So I have other coaches you can work with if you're interested in getting certified. My goal, as I said, is to touch the lives of millions of people. So my hidden agenda is to train as many coaches as I can so they can go into the world and heal the hearts of people that way. So
that's a beautiful mission. Is there anything else that we haven't covered or that we left unsaid today?
Yes. I just want to reiterate that when you're going through life and you feel challenged, take a deep breath and go, since I'm worthy of love, what's really going on? There are only 2 reasons, basically, why you face a challenge. Number 1 is you need to master whatever is happening, because if you mastered it, it wouldn't be a challenge. So you're being guided to master that event that's happening. The other reason why it's happening is that it's sending you in a direction that you either know you need to go, but you're not going. Like me, when I was behind my patient crying, so I was being, okay, I had to go. So, or you don't even know that you need to go. You just have to trust, which is what I told you happened in the beginning when my father, cancer, brother died and all that. It sent me on the quest. So whatever is happening, stand in the question, like you said, Laura, be in the quest, the question. Since I'm worthy of love, why is this happening? am I called to master something, or am I being sent in a direction that I'm resisting going, but I know I need to go? Or that one is even more challenging. Like, I know it's happening to me, for me. I'm not sure where it's guiding me. And now you need to trust that since you're worthy of love, the only thing you need to do is follow the path it's sending you on.
That is beautiful and really, really powerful. A powerful invitation for people when they're feeling like, why is this happening to me? Asking that question and considering the alternatives. I want to thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. This was a delicious conversation, and I know that our listeners gained so much value. I encourage you to reach out to Dr. Janelle and continue on the quest and really just continue to expand and grow. But thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you so much for your show, Laura, for being on the quest too. And like all of us together, we make a difference in the world. So thank you for what you do. And thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. And remember, as we close out every show, everything is created twice. First in our mind and then in physical form. We'll see you next week.